This video is sponsored by Storyblocks. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and waste your time and try to tell you that one camera is massively better than the other, but there are some very important details that I think by the end of this video, if you can grab a hold of, you'll not only know which camera is best for you, but more importantly, you'll stop searching trying to find the perfect camera and get back to creating. What's good, creative fan? Brandon Washington here, and this is the video you guys have been asking me for the most. This is the Red Komodo versus the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro. Now, in this video, we are going to be touching on as many of the details as we possibly can fit into this video without making it absolutely nauseatingly long. But I will say that in this video, by the end of it, I want you guys to feel confident on knowing which camera you should be picking up. So let's not waste any time. Let's first start off with what makes these cameras so similar, and then we'll get to the differences, because that personally is where I think you will start to decide which camera is right for you. So to kick things off, both of these cameras are sporting a Super 35mm 6K sensor. Now, this is massive, not really because shooting in 6K is really all that normalized now, but shooting in 4K is becoming more normalized. And so having a 6K sensor allows you to do some reframing and cropping in post in order to produce in 4K and have that additional real estate from your sensor. The next big benefit with both of these cameras is that they both shoot RAW. Now, granted, they do shoot a different flavor of RAW, but the benefits of RAW cannot be excluded. The next big benefit that both of these cameras sport is, well, quite frankly, the bodies. These are both small cinema cameras compared to traditional cinema cameras, which makes them great for smaller shoots, makes them great for gimbal use, flying on drones, and really just being able to be used in different environments where you primarily wouldn't want to have to bring in a massive cinema camera. The next big benefit that both of these cameras are going to sport is, well, they have variable frame rates. Now, in cinema cameras, you start to see some differentiators here when it comes to resolution and frame rate, but both of these cameras will allow you to shoot at up to 120 frames per second. Granted, you are going to take a hit on resolution and cropping with both of these cameras, but it is nice to know that these features have been added in. And then last but certainly not least, with both of these cameras, yes, you are getting screens on them. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like these screens are equal. They are far from equal, which we're going to get to in just a bit. But it is nice to know that we have easy navigation control through both of these cameras via that touchscreen. I will say that both cameras are very easy to use. Even if you've never used a cinema camera before, I personally feel like if you at least know the basics of how cameras work, you can easily pick up one of these cameras and start shooting with it immediately. Now, sure, all those things are great and they are great starters for a cinema camera, but that's pretty much where these cameras start to deviate, because each camera decided to go a different route. Let's start with the Red Komodo. The Red Komodo started off by changing everything by introducing a global shutter. Now, this is something you're not going to find on the 6K Pro, but really you're not going to find this on many cinema cameras, if any cinema cameras in this price point. The main reason why Red decided to go with a global shutter was because this camera was designed with motion in mind. They decided that they wanted this camera to actually be something like a crash cam, something that you could put onto a gimbal, onto a drone. And the reason why they added that global shutter was to get rid of that motion blur that we typically see from a rolling shutter, where all of your images are going to be slightly slanted. Now, because they knew this is where they were planning on putting this camera, this is probably one of my favorite features of the Red, but this is its modular design. It is a box, and this box can be configured in so many different ways. There are multiple battery options, there are multiple cage options, there are multiple ways you can build this camera up into a full studio build, or you can tear it down to throw it on an FPV drone. Now, part of that setup has to do with the mount. This camera works on an RF mount, which in my opinion has become one of the most versatile mounts out there. I mean, with an RF mount, you can easily attach a PL mount to it, you can easily attach an EF mount to it as well, and you can also just attach RF lenses, which quite frankly are insanely sharp lenses. Now, it's not just about the body, but it has a lot to do with the software as well. See, this camera right now is able to shoot in Red R3D RAW. And this is another big reason why so many people lean this way. Red R3D RAW is sort of an industry standard RAW codec because it's the same RAW codec that you're gonna find across all of Red's cameras. So if you're shooting a project with one of their bigger cameras, well, quite honestly, it's just easier to also shoot with a Komodo because, well, quite frankly, you're gonna be using the exact same codecs. That, matched with the 16 plus stops of dynamic range, makes this camera a fantastic build. But that's not to be outdone by the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro. Obviously, the first major pro when it comes to the 6K Pro has to be the price. I mean, at $2,500, and this is the top of the line when it comes to Blackmagic's Pocket Cinema Camera line, they easily are coming in at the industry low. And what you're getting for that price is absolutely second to none. For starters, yes, both cameras do shoot in 6K, but with the Pocket, you're actually able to shoot in 6K at up to 50 frames per second, which is allowing you to get that, just even though it's not a full 60 or 120, you are still able to get a little bit of slow motion at that 6K resolution. Also, with the addition to the Pro, you are now able to have built-in ND filters, which to me, as someone who runs and guns and shoots a lot of different types of projects, built-in ND filters cannot be just pushed to the side. This saves you an entire matte box solution and obviously an entire rail solution in most cases, because now you have everything you need built into the camera. And then now let's go back to that screen. As I said, these screens are not created equal in any way, but with the Pocket 6K Pro, not only are you getting a significantly larger screen, but now you're actually getting a tilted screen. And with the tilted screen, you can now see your actual framing from different angles. And the big benefit here is that you maybe don't need to bring in an external screen. See, I think that's where one big difference comes into play. A lot of people look at these two cameras and they look at the prices, where we have one camera that's sitting at $2,500 and we have another camera that's sitting right around $6,000. But the difference that I personally found with owning both of these cameras and using them is that when it comes to the Komodo, when you buy a Komodo, be ready to buy a lot more, because you're not just going to be able to get away with buying just the Komodo itself. You're going to have to rig this camera up, which is okay. And even on the most basic scaled down version of a Komodo rig, you're still having to add in a bit more money. And when you're starting at a price point that's literally over double the other, this is something you really have to consider. When it comes to the 6K Pro, sure, there's some accessories that you could purchase, like the extra battery grip. Maybe you want the viewfinder on here as well. But even with those accessories purchased, you're still coming in a lot less than the 6K Red Komodo base. So since we're talking about some of the differences, let's go ahead and talk about my actual real world use differences, because I think a lot of times when we're looking at cameras, we look at specs, and specs are important. Don't get me wrong. I think they are important, but I think what's even more important than specs is how you actually use the camera in a workflow. So first, let's start off with the Komodo, because that's what I've had the longest. When it comes to working with the Komodo, I'm gonna be 100% honest. Every shot I ever get with the Red Komodo, I'm in love with it. It's just what happens. I don't really know how to put my finger on it, but every shot I get with the Red Komodo, I am absolutely in love with it. But there's a huge asterisk, and that is the fact that every shot I get with the Red Komodo takes me about 3 to 4 times as long to get as it would take me to get with almost any other camera. And that has a lot to do with the way the Red Komodo works. It's designed with more of a filmatic setup. You're gonna primarily be working with a crew. This camera takes longer to build. This camera takes longer to set up. There's calibrations that have to be done. And then by the time you've done all that, well, you kind of have to mentally prepare yourself for this shoot, which means if you're gonna do all this for this camera, you're probably gonna put in the work and the time and the energy to make sure that this shot comes out perfect, which is probably why I love every shot made with the Red Komodo. When it comes to shooting with the 6K Pro, on the other hand, this camera's quick. It turns on fast. You have built-in NDs, so if you need to get your exposure, you do that fast. And literally, you can just press a button, start recording, get your shot, and then move on to the next thing. That quickness is a good benefit, but then also sometimes I find myself honestly just getting a little bit lazy with it. Because of how quick and easy the camera is, I don't always take the time to dial in every little detail the exact way I want to. So what I find myself doing a lot is, if it's a quick job where I necessarily don't have the time to do these things, then I find myself gravitating to the 6K Pro. But if it's a job where I want to take my time and I want to get everything perfect, then I go with the Red Komodo because not only will it allow me to do that and really force me to do that, but more importantly, I know I'm gonna love the image when it's all said and done. You know, when I look at these shots side by side, it really starts to make me wonder, like, can most people even tell the difference? And honestly, I don't think they could. I mean, if I didn't show you these shots side by side, I just think you'd look at them and say, ah, yeah, those are good looking shots. And quite honestly, I probably could show you some shots and tell you it was one camera and really it was the other camera, and you probably wouldn't be able to know or argue if it was or wasn't. So if you're at this point in the video and you're still like, ah, Brandon, I don't know, like, I want the Komodo, but the 6K Pro just sounds like a better deal. The image quality looks great, but I kind of just want the Komodo, but I'm not really sure even why I want the Komodo. Let me try to break down 3 reasons why you should buy the Red Komodo over the 6K Pro, and then I'll give you 3 reasons why you shouldn't buy the Red Komodo over the 6K Pro, and then you figure out of those which one resonates best with you. But before we do that, let me quickly thank today's sponsor, Storyblocks. So Storyblocks is an all-in-one platform perfect for creators. With a low monthly subscription, you have unlimited downloads to their over 1 million assets. You're gonna find royalty-free music, stock video, and assets used for editing in programs like Premiere and Final Cut, and including After Effects. If you're looking to take your videos to the next level, definitely check out Storyblocks, because quite honestly, even in this video, I've even been using a handful of their plugins in order to add an extra little pop and spice to this video here. So do me a favor, check out the links in the description. They support this channel, and so if you guys like this channel and you need these assets anyway, do me a favor, check them out so that way we can support them as well. Thanks for sponsoring this video, Storyblocks, but now let's jump back into which camera should you buy. So first, here are 3 reasons why you should buy the Red Komodo over the 6K Pro. The first reason is that this is your first step into a bigger system. See, I personally bought the Red Komodo because I've always wanted to step into the Red ecosystem, and the Komodo is the easiest first step into that ecosystem. Now, if you have no desire to go into this ecosystem, well then maybe this doesn't matter to you. But quite honestly, I've always wanted to shoot on their bigger cameras, and I have on little sets here and there, but you just don't get the same feel when you're renting as when you own. And so that is why I purchased the Red Komodo, because this was a first step into that new ecosystem. The second big reason is that you are looking for R3D RAW. Personally, I think that this is a huge point. If you are shooting on the Blackmagic and you're okay with working in DaVinci, and you're okay with working in Blackmagic RAW, then the Pocket can be a great option for you. But for someone like myself, I've always wanted that R3D RAW. Personally, I find that it's an easier codec to work in. It works in more editors, so when working with and partnering with other editors, this one is just gonna be more globally accepted. And honestly, I find that the R3D RAW is more future-proof. And the third big reason why I think you should pick up the Red Komodo over the Pocket 6K is, well, if you just really want one. I personally believe that if you are at this point, and let's face it, these are not cheap cameras, right? So if you're at this point, you've probably been shooting for a little while. You've also probably decided that, you know, it's time for you to upgrade your camera and get something that you are gonna be satisfied with. Well, personally, if you really want the Red Komodo and it can work within your workflow, that's a huge but if it can work in your workflow, then I think that it is a great upgrade, because it's going to motivate you to want to get out and create more, because now you have the camera that you really want and you won't feel like you settled. Now I get it, those 3 reasons can be complete crap if you have no desire for any of those. So let me give you 3 reasons to justify not picking up the Red Komodo over the 6K Pro. The first one being, you really just can't afford it. I mean, let's face it, the Red Komodo is not a cheap system. I personally think that if you plan on buying one, you should really be budgeting somewhere around $8,000 to $9,000, give or take, when buying this camera, which really takes it out of the price range of the 6K Pro. I mean, at that point, you're literally buying 3 6K Pros, which might be something you maybe need. Also, another reason why you shouldn't pick up the Red Komodo over the 6K Pro is that really your productions just don't call for it. And quite honestly, you don't even have the time for it. As I mentioned before, with the Red Komodo, it takes a lot to get this camera up and running. You need a crew. You have to have the time. And if your productions are quick and run and gun, or you're doing like things like events and you don't even have the time to stop and calibrate a camera or, you know, make time happen on set for your clients, well, this is definitely not the camera for you. I mean, this is a camera that you will love the image on, but if you feel it's more of a burden to slow down and make this camera work for you, it's only gonna become a nuisance. And all you're gonna be thinking about is, I could have spent this money on a much better system. And the third reason that maybe is probably gonna convince you not to buy the Komodo over the Pocket 6K Pro is, well, you're really on the fence. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. When it comes to buying Red, and really when it comes to buying any camera gear, when I find myself like hovering on the fence, that's really a sign that I shouldn't be moving in that direction. I just really want to be moving in that direction. Like, this is not the first Red that I wanted to buy. In fact, when the Red Raven first came out, I was really on the fence about it. I wanted to buy that camera, but I just couldn't justify the price. And I had to think, like, would my work really call for it? Did I have the time for it? And all the things that we've already been talking about. And when I got really honest with myself, the truth was that I couldn't. And I couldn't justify any of those things. The only thing I could justify was that I just really wanted the camera, but it really wouldn't have worked in my current workflow at that time. But when the Red Komodo came out, I knew it was time. I didn't have to second guess it. I knew I had the money for it. I knew that I had the clients for it. I knew I had the projects coming for it, and even the upcoming projects for it. And so I knew that I didn't have to second guess it. Trust me, the last thing you want to do is buy a camera and have it just sitting on the shelf and not being used, and knowing that you've invested a lot of money in it, because at that point, the camera owns you. And you don't own the camera. You want to buy a tool that you'll be able to use instantly and get creative enjoyment out of. And so I think it's important that you watch videos like this so that maybe it'll help you understand like what you're about to jump into. But honestly, I believe that for most people, the 6K Pro is going to be the camera that is going to work for them. It's going to be the camera that gets the job done. It's going to have a beautiful image, and no, it won't have that red clout, but at the end of the day, it's probably what's going to work for a majority of the people watching this video, at least until you can get to the point where you can buy that Red or you can buy that dream camera and not have to bat an eye at the price or the specs. But let me know what you guys think down below. This is a lot. This is a big camera build. This is a big camera side by side. I'd love to know you guys' thoughts on these two cameras. Leave those down below in the comments. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Thank you Storyblocks for sponsoring this one, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.